So now we get into the meat of things a little bit. In order to reverse engineer a specific set of quality of life goals and financial results from the business, it's helpful to understand that businesses essentially have two halves. You have the day-to-day operations half that keeps the doors open. That's largely in service to your clients and their needs. But then there's a whole other half of the business that we call the business of doing business half of your enterprise. That's the half that decides how much money you make from keeping the doors open. So the first half, day-to-day operations, keep the doors open and service to your clients. The second half is the business of doing business that decides how well you're monetizing keeping the doors open. Also, what kind of quality of life you have, how scalable your business is, and what kind of ease of operation is associated with it. That half is in service to the shareholders. What happens with most small and mid-sized businesses that you start from nothing and then build up over the years is that almost all your time and attention is given to the day-to-day operations half is in service to your clients. And even that ends up being this sort of patchwork quilt that we cobble together over time as our client base grows in response to our clients' needs. Big businesses and franchises don't operate that way. They begin with the business of doing business half first. They use a combination of data, personal goals, vision, etc., to predetermine the end result of the business before they ever start, before they ever begin the day-to-day operations component. What that means is we figure out, maybe we do some formalized market analysis. So we know how many fish are in that pond before we drop a line into it. We do some competitive analysis. So we know who else is fishing in that pond that we have to compete against. We do some capacity analysis where we take a look at, with the resources and assets available to us, how much in sales volume or market share can we accrue, at what profit margins, at what free cash flows, at what total owner's return that we're actually paying ourselves. So we sort all those numbers out based, again, on a combination of your personal vision and the data that's available to you. And once we have that end result determined, we then go back to our day-to-day operations. And instead of those day-to-day operations being a patchwork quilt that we've cobbled together over time, we reverse engineer those day-to-day operations as a purpose-built machine built from the ground up to produce our predetermined end result with a degree of mathematical certainty. Now, there's some harsh realities associated with those two paradigms. Patchwork quilt that we cobble together over time versus purpose-built machine of a company. Businesses that do not have all the functions on the business of doing business half implemented have a 60% failure rate over any given 5-year period. They have a 90% failure rate over any given 10-year period. Businesses that operate as a purpose-built machine with both halves of their business fully implemented have about a 1.5% failure rate over the same time period. But take failure off the table. Maybe a more important metric is businesses that operate as a purpose-built machine of a company with a well-oiled machine in terms of day-to-day operations and a well-oiled machine in terms of the business of doing business half of the enterprise. Those businesses perform on average 312% better financially over any given 10-year period than businesses that operate the other way. So it's very important to understand those two halves and then give proportionate attention to each one.